Welcome back to my 2025 NFL Power Rankings. Today we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, an organization that is put on a pedestal by NFL fans because of their success. I mean, they're never really bad, and that's been the case for the entire Tomlin era. But a lot of people complain because while they're not bad, they're not really doing too much, and there's a lot of red flags about the team this year especially, right? The fact they haven't won a playoff game since 2016, that's concerning. They brought in a 41-year-old free agent quarterback to be their bridge guy after having two other bridge quarterbacks last year. That same 41-year-old quarterback, by the way, has been surrounded by drama for the past half a decade, so much so that he was chased off of his last team, which was the New York Jets. The offense was pitiful last year, and they got rid of their best player from that offense in exchange for a fourth-round pick in George Pickens. And to top it all off, the icon of the modern era of Steelers football has been TJ Watt, and he's in the midst of a contract dispute. But the Steelers have been surrounded by red flags and off-field drama for a while. They still always find a way to meet that 500 standard. Mike Tomlin is well known for his quote, "The standard is the standard." But in reality, the standard seems to be a winning record. And this team seems like they're going to meet that standard once again, but this seems like they're going to get a little bit close. I think this is the worst Pittsburgh has looked, or at least the least optimistic I've been about Pittsburgh since the post-Roethlisberger era started. For the most part, offensively, this is the same team it was under Kenny Pickett. Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers want to dink and dunk down the field and rely on the stable run game out of the gun. There's two big differences between this year's Steelers offense and what the offense used to look like under Kenny Pickett. One, Aaron Rodgers' high football IQ and all the coverage beaters he'll be able to dial up at the line of scrimmage will make a difference. And DK Metcalf's athleticism and big playability. That will also add a new layer to this offensive unit. Now, the issue is that I don't think that elevates this team this insane amount, right? I think you might get a big play where there's a coverage bust and they take advantage once or twice a game. You might get one big DK Metcalf play a game, but I don't think those are going to be consistent down-to-down game changers, right? The running back duo of Jaylen Warren and Caleb Johnson has a nice thunder and lightning feel, and the O-line is young with high upside. But I don't think that it's some great offensive unit. I think it's going to be the same pump machine we're used to seeing from the Pittsburgh Steelers. More likely than not, this is going to be a bad offense that has a lot of 3-and-outs, is what I'm trying to say. No matter who's playing quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, maybe he goes down and then we see Mason Rudolph, Will Howard. I don't really know. I don't think it changes much. This offense doesn't have a lot of talent. And beyond that, I think it's a system that doesn't really optimize the talent here. You brought in DK Metcalf in this big trade. You paid him a lot of money. And what are you going to try and do? You're going to try and be this dink and dunk offense. DK Metcalf isn't that type of guy. DK Metcalf is someone that wants to make plays vertically. Rodgers doesn't want to do that at this point in his career. And that's what sucks, right? The skill set of the best player on this offensive unit is different from the skill set of the quarterback that you just brought in and the offensive coordinator's system that he wants to run. So why did you bring in Metcalf if it's not a great scheme fit? I just don't get it. I don't see the vision here, and I'm really worried because I think Robert Woods is going to have a featured role in this offense. He hasn't had over 600 yards since 2020, and you're going to be relying on the guy. This offensive unit is going to struggle, but we've seen Steelers offenses struggle ever since Big Ben retired. Even before Big Ben retired, there were some bad Steelers offenses, right? After AB and Le'Veon Bell left, there was a period where the Steelers offense struggled, but they were still winning games, and it was because of the defensive unit. This defense should be really solid, and it's because of Mike Tomlin and the identity he gives this team. But I do have to address the elephant in the room here. TJ Watt. Their defensive star, like I mentioned, icon for this team as of the 2020s, right? He has been the main player. He has been a microcosm of everything that the Steelers organization is about. From the toughness and the grit, that's what won this team 6 Super Bowls. Guys like TJ Watt, and he identifies perfectly with Steeler football. Now he's having a contract dispute. He is a very good player. Everyone knows it. It's not like he's just some tough guy who's just a role player. No, he is a star, like game changer. Everyone that watches Steelers football over the past 5 years knows TJ Watt has been a monster, former defensive player of the year. He has such a nice bag of moves while also playing with such tenacity. He's a game changer, and he's the best player on this team. But he has a lot of really nice players on that defensive line next to him. Guys like Cam Hayward that have been with Pittsburgh for a while. Someone who's older but can threaten you in the run game and also get to the quarterback. Then you have 2 earlier draft picks in Keanu Benton and Derek Harmon. Those 2 guys have a lot of talent, and they're going to eventually develop into these superstars. But right now they're kind of playing a side role to these other great players on the Steelers defensive line. They're still going to be very good players versus the run especially. And then Alex Highsmith, who is a unbelievable complimentary guy to TJ Watt. That's a very threatening edge duo with some great, beefy, talented defensive linemen in the middle. The linebacker core is well-rounded. It isn't a spectacular unit, but they're able to do a little bit of everything one way or another. Patrick Queen is more of a downhill, thumping linebacker. And Peyton Wilson is someone that's going to be a better coverage guy who's more athletic, but he can't quite defend the run to the same level. He can get moved around a lot, pushed around a lot. It's a nice duo because Patrick Queen clears up the weaknesses and makes up for the weaknesses of Peyton Wilson, while Peyton Wilson makes up for the weaknesses of Patrick Queen and his game. Then the safety room is pretty similar, but they're a lot better. Like, these are 2 borderline top 10 safeties, really. I mean, Minkah Fitzpatrick, everyone agrees, is a top 10 guy. Deshaun Elliott might be a top 10 safety. Like, he is really good at his role. Both of them have their role. They're very different, but they're both very good at what they do. Deshaun Elliott is more of that box safety. He's going to start up high, and then he's going to rotate down, do a lot of dirty work, defend the run, a true strong safety. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick is more of a rangy coverage guy who's very instinctive. He could also crash down against the run a little bit, but he's more of someone that you want to be that true high safety. I am going to be honest, the corner room isn't great, but everything else about this defense is good to great to downright spectacular. That defensive line is downright spectacular. That safety room is very, very good. And that linebacker room is solid. Like I said, I am a little bit worried about the corners, but this is going to be a very good defensive unit. Mike Tomlin always finds a way to make the defense great. When he has talent like this, it truly could be a heck of a unit. I am worried about the offensive side of the ball. I think they're going to have to rely a little bit too much on that defense. Let's see how the schedule plays out for them. Now, for a while, it has been death, taxes, and Mike Tomlin finishing with at least a 500 record. I have that ending here. I have that long streak ending right here. I really do. I think that this isn't a great schedule, and I know Pittsburgh well enough at this point, after watching football in depth for these past couple of years. I know how they function. They're going to beat some teams they probably shouldn't beat. And they're going to lose to some teams they probably shouldn't lose to. The Jets are a team that they probably shouldn't lose to. But you know that entire organization is going to be playing to beat the hell out of Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are going to want to eat Aaron Rodgers alive in this game. And I don't think the Steelers are going to come at them with the same fire. You know Aaron Glenn is going to have them fired up. You know some of the players are looking at the individual that single-handedly sabotaged everything that Jets team seemed to be building. They are going to murder Aaron Rodgers. That is going to be the goal here. And I don't think the Steelers are going to have that same fire here. I think the Steelers definitely lose this game. Definitely do. But then I have the Steelers recovering by beating Seattle. I think Seattle is going to throw a lot of different coverages at the Steelers. They're going to experiment a lot with their secondary, do a lot of crazy stuff. But Aaron Rodgers, he's a veteran. He's seen a lot of this stuff. I think this might be one of those games where we really see Aaron Rodgers' high football IQ on display. Then, week 3, I think the Patriots will beat Pittsburgh. I think Mike Vrabel is going to understand that this isn't a Steelers offense that really threatens you in many ways. He's going to play conservative football defensively. The Steelers are not going to be able to do much, right? And then, defensively, I think Pittsburgh could do a lot, but I think Drake May is a hell of a quarterback. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game that the Patriots win at home. Then the Vikings. This is one I could see an upset in. I could see the Steelers winning this one. It's at home, and this would be one of those games where the Steelers kind of just beat a team that is better than them because they tend to do that. But I think J.J. McCarthy can do some stuff. I think this is a game where Justin Jefferson against that secondary, I think Jefferson is going to be able to carve them up. So I'm picking the Vikings. Then bye week, I have the Steelers winning off of the bye week against Cleveland. They're not a very good team. The Bengals, now I will say the Steelers kind of had the Bengals number last year. They were able to score a lot against Cincinnati. But I'm going to have them splitting the series here. I think the Steelers are going to win when they're home, and I think the Bengals are going to win when they're the home team. Green Bay, I think, is a better team, but the Steelers are going to have a mini bye going into this game. And I think they're going to take advantage. The Packers' defense isn't too good. I think the Steelers are going to be able to do a decent amount here. I'm picking Pittsburgh. I think they're going to be able to get the ground game going. And I think Aaron Rodgers is going to score a decent amount against his former team. Then the Colts, they're going to want to run the hell out of that football, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it because the Steelers' defensive front is very ferocious. Very ferocious. So I think the Steelers win this one at home, and I think it's a very similar story when they go into L.A. You want to run the ball a lot? Well, the Steelers are very good up front. They're going to be able to beat you. I feel pretty good about that one. Now I have the Steelers winning their home game. Yeah, the Bengals are coming off of a bye, but I'm not too worried about what Zach Taylor is going to scheme up. Last year, I believe the Steelers won both of them. I know they scored a lot in both games. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to go ahead and win this. Then Chicago. This is a game where I could really see this going either way. Chicago is the home team, but I think the Steelers are hot at this point, right? They're coming off of 4 straight wins. I think they're going to win that. Then we have Buffalo. This is another one. I could see the upset here, but it's a new Josh Allen. He isn't turning the ball over as much. And I think that, the Steelers could dink and dunk their way down the field here, but I don't think they're going to score in the red zone at all in this game. I think the red zone scoring is going to struggle all year long. I don't think the Steelers win this, although I can definitely see it because they are on a hot streak, but I think the Bills are bound to mess that up for Pittsburgh. Then I have the Steelers beating the Ravens in Baltimore. In Baltimore. This is exactly what I was talking about. The Steelers can kind of tend to overplay, right? When it comes to stepping up against a better team, they can do that at times, and the Ravens have been a team that they've had the number for. They know how to beat Baltimore. I think the Steelers win that one. Then the Dolphins against Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, I think this is one where the Steelers are going to get caught off guard. Monday Night Football, I think that receiver core is going to be able to do a decent amount against these corners. They're going to take the defensive line out of the game. The Dolphins will. They're going to take the defensive line out of the game by throwing quick passes repeatedly, and I think it's just going to become Pittsburgh's corners versus that Dolphins receiver room, and I think the Dolphins receiver room wins that. Then Detroit, they are such a dominant team. This is another one. If you want to talk about Pittsburgh upsetting a team that is better than them, this is another one you could see that happening. But I really just have that happening in the Green Bay game and that Ravens game right there in Week 14. I think Detroit's just the far better team from a talent perspective, all these different facets. By now they have the coordinators adjusted to the league and their players. They have their identity set. I think that the Detroit Lions definitely win that game. Then I have Cleveland upsetting Pittsburgh, and then they wrap it up with the Ravens fighting to try and improve their seeding here, and also fighting to make sure the Steelers don't take that winning record. I think that they are going to be pissed. In this 4-game stretch, they're 1 win away from 500, and they don't quite meet it. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear a little bit more Mike Tomlin conversations this offseason after the season ends this way. This is how I expect it to play. I know a lot of upsets, But this is a Steelers team I think is going to play cocky. This is a Steelers team I think is going to get caught off guard. This is a Steelers team that I frankly just don't think is overly good. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't a great team, and I think they're not going to finish above 500 or even at 500 this year. I appreciate you all watching. I'll see you next time.